Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Jordan Patrick Show. Today is September 29th. That means Wednesday. That means we got another day before Thursday night football. We got a lot of stuff happening this week. Tomorrow morning, we have our Patriots Superfan episode dropping. Friday, we're doing a live show with Mr. Patrick himself. Richie and I will be there as well. And what do we got going on during that, Rich? What's the big talking point there? I know we're going to talk some baseball, but
we're going to be doing a roundtable, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, with the big matchup. First time they're ever being pitted against each other. And as many of you know, if not all of you, obviously Tom Brady is the most recent Super Bowl winner at quarterback. He left New England last year. Bill Belichick is still trying to find his way with his new quarterback and new team post-Brady, and it hasn't been as smooth of a transition. So we're going to definitely talk about that, go over some of the stuff that we've seen in the NFL. But yeah, it's going to be good, and we're going to be doing some baseball input regarding the potential relocation of the Tampa Bay Rays. At minimum, dual time between St. Pete and Montreal.
Yeah, same shit. Same shit. Miami, Montreal, what's the difference? A few degrees, I guess. So a lot of fun stuff happening, and of course, with football, the big story is going to be that Brady versus Belichick matchup, but we will touch on that on Friday. Today we want to talk to you for the first time since our preview show, sitting down in this capacity anyway. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram, because Richie is almost always on there giving his picks. Jordan's also dropping his streamers and giving you DFS pointers, so make sure you follow us on Instagram. So for today, we want to talk about our NFL power rankings, at least the top 8. We don't want to go through the whole thing, but I'm going to have Rich walk you through our top 8, and I'll maybe give some points or counterpoints, because at least in my opinion, I think it's really week 4 when you figure out which of these teams are for real and which are not. The first 3 weeks since the preseason is tryouts for deep roster guys. The first 3 weeks of the season, to me, are actually preseason. You're seeing what these teams are about. There's still inconsistencies, so you don't know which team is for real or just had a good week. By week 4, we kind of know who's who. So, Richie, let's jump in. We're talking top 8. You want to start from the top down or bottom up?
Let's go bottom up.
All righty, so number 8, who's rounding out the bottom of our top 8 power rankings?
Not based on results, based on their recent history and based on my belief that they're going to be okay. Kansas City Chiefs, although 1-2, I do have them as my number 8 power ranking. Were it not for a ballsy play and decision by John Harbaugh, which was supported by Lamar Jackson, they would be 2-1 as opposed to 1-2. They also lost a close one to the Chargers. Their defense, in my opinion, looks a little worse than last year. It is only the 4th week of the season coming up. I don't think too many people are going to worry about their offense. Even with their defensive inadequacies, I still see them probably figuring out a way to win that division.
That's a pretty major drop, because, and I'm seeing a lot of people agreeing with you, but I'll just point out, up until this last week, they were, I'd say, top 3 at worst in most people's rankings. They were maybe not in the first spot. Tampa has been getting a lot of nods. The Rams, who I'm sure we'll get to, have been getting a lot of nods. But the Chiefs were in the top 3 conversation for most people. You're putting them at 8.
You just can't justify any higher, given that they have a losing record. I mean, you look at their schedule, it certainly wasn't easy. They beat a quality team, and they lost to 2 quality teams. But, there's a lot left to be revealed, and I still think that in the early going, it's a crapshoot, given the last 3 years that they've been in 3 consecutive title games, 2 consecutive Super Bowls. 1-2 is no reason to panic in Kansas City. I think they'll figure it out.
Okay, so let's move it along then. Who do you got at 7?
The team that beat them, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay. What do you like about them? Why so high on them?
They play stingy defense, and on the other side of the ball, it seems like Justin Herbert, who's the defending Rookie of the Year, really found a number one target now in Mike Williams. And they're deploying him similarly to how Michael Thomas was used in New Orleans when he was healthy and with Drew Brees. There is an influence of the New Orleans coaching staff now in Los Angeles with the Chargers, but they're essentially deploying Mike Williams similarly to how Michael Thomas was. Herbert's reaping the benefits. He's playing great. And their defense is good. Through 3 weeks, they could easily be 3-0. They lost a very close game to your Cowboys. And that might essentially be the reason why they're not a top 3 team in the power rankings right now. But, beating the Chiefs, although the Chiefs are off to a bit of a slow start, still impressive.
So I'll just say I've seen a couple other power rankings. I saw the Bleacher Report. I saw the Athletic, the publications we tend to follow. And I had them, the Chargers were ranked higher, even than 7 in some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, I disagree. Flat out, I don't see it yet. I'm not sold. They look like a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
I had the pleasure of watching us beat them in a very close matchup.
That was a good game.
It was. But I'm not sold. You got a rookie quarterback who's playing, second-year quarterback who's playing really well. He hasn't hit that wall yet, and it's almost inevitable for any quarterback to sort of hit that downturn in form.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting to see how that team does when he's struggling because, to me, while they do have a good degree of balance, they are relying a lot on a second-year QB. And it's going to be tough. The defense has got some depth issues is what I noticed. Why we were able to pull out the win a couple weeks back is because they picked up a few knocks here and there, and they needed to have guys step up. Didn't happen. You got to be deep in this league to go far.
I want to make a short mention, too. I like what Austin Eckler's doing in the early going. I think he's starting to assert himself as a viable option as an every down back and approaching fantasy number 1 status for those who have him on their rosters or who play DFS to pick up guys. And I do believe that his buying is still a reasonable price compared to some of the other household names like the Camaras, guys like that. But I like where they are right now. Early on in our preseason predictions, our outlooks for the divisions, I did pick them to be one of my wild cards. I still support how I feel on that. I haven't switched my opinion on that based on what I've seen through 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I'm not ready to put them in the top 5, and you got them at 7.
I mean, you got the Kansas City Chiefs in last place in that division because everybody else is winning.
For now.
But we'll see.
So let's move along to 6 then. Who we taking in the 6th spot?
This might sound really uncomfortable. I've got the Las Vegas Raiders at 6.
What's in your coffee? Mine is coffee. Are you sure? Because you want to put the Las Vegas Raiders in 6.
Absolutely not, but you can't discount that above all else, the one stat that legitimately matters is winning. And they haven't lost a game yet, and they do have a quality victory over a very good Baltimore Ravens team week 1. And maybe a not so very good, overhyped Pittsburgh Steelers team in week 2. This past week, they won a gritty game against the Miami Dolphins, who were down their starting quarterback, Tua. But I'm not actually convinced that Miami's offense, if having Brissett in there, once he gets, the feel of the game, is that much of a downturn from Tua, because I don't necessarily believe that Miami's offense has given Tua all the trust to really run the game anyway. And as long as he plays within himself and they lean on their pretty good defense, I think Miami can figure themselves out. But the Raiders, it's funny. They're 3-0 just like the Denver Broncos. But the reason why I will refuse to put Denver in my top 8, even though they have the same record as the Raiders, is the Giants and the Jets have combined for the 2 worst records over the past, say, 5 years or so, since 2017. I cannot give Denver too much credit. They did what they were supposed to do, and they also beat the Jaguars. Sorry, guys. Maybe in a few weeks, if you guys are looking like 5-1, I could consider putting them up. Raiders, on the other hand, I think they have an improved defense. I think it's a make or break year for Gruden. Mayock made that very clear from upstairs, as well as the new owner, son of Al Davis. For now, I'm going to leave the Raiders at 6. I mean, I could have very well backed them up and put the Chargers ahead. But as I said, they're tied for first with the Broncos, who haven't played anybody yet. So we'll see. But as of right now, I like the Raiders where they are. I think Derek Carr is having the best year of his career thus far. Granted, it's only September. But I like what I'm seeing, and I think that they're improvising very well.
It's 3 games, dude.
With an injury to Josh Jacobs.
But
you know, like, you figure most teams you need about 9 to 10 to get in, and the way I see it is through 3 weeks they got 3 wins, so they're well on their way to potentially finding a playoff spot. Because I mean, in the middle of the season, teams are gonna go through those bumps, and it's good to get them early. They all count.
Yeah, you're right. The record does matter, but it's sort of like with Pittsburgh last year. I'm not buying it.
No.
No. But to be fair, this is a week going into week 4 power rankings. So, all right, we got the Chiefs at 8. You got the Chargers at 7, and you got Vegas at 6. I'm guessing the next one's in a different geography.
One would think that
maybe not.
That I basically said that I'm not even so much as thinking of including.
So you could go NFC West. So let's hear it though. The 5th spot. What do you got?
Going with your Dallas Cowboys. This is how I see it. You have a very good win against the Los Angeles Chargers in week 2. Week 1, in a lot of people's estimation, you guys outplayed the Buccaneers. I'm one of the people who believes that. I also think that Dak outplayed Brady. Think that you got the misfortune of not getting a penalty, a push-off, which I think would have decided the game in your favor. And unfortunately, week 1, a very reliable kicker for you, had one of his worst games as a professional. You did what you were supposed to do on Monday night. Some of it was good. Some of it was a little lackluster at moments. But you did what you had to do. You took care of a division foe that you were expected to beat and that most people believe that you're better than, myself included. What I like, while your defense over the last few years has not necessarily been getting to the quarterback, making big plays, winning the turnover battles, right now you guys are in the top 5 in that category of a plus side on the turnover matter. Dak Prescott, quite frankly, in week 1, let alone right now, he showed me that he looks like he's all the way back. He's confident. He's not afraid of getting hit. He's back. And he's doing a very good job. One of your best receivers is on the injured reserve, Michael Gallup. But I do believe that CeeDee Lamb, I think Cedric Wilson, and I do believe also Amari Cooper, the veteran, are working together as a nice trio. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of selfishness in the room. And I'm even going to pass that along to the running back position. Ezekiel Elliott's been a star in this league for quite some time. And he's playing within himself, and he's also not complaining that he might be getting less action, and his teammate Tony Pollard stepping up. I think early on, what I like early on is that I believe that on a team where you have a lot of personalities and a lot of guys that can kind of veer off, I think they're all playing for the common good of what's best for the team right now. And, winning is also a good antidote to make that feel right and that it works. Mike McCarthy knows what it's about to be around upper echelon superstars. I mean, he is Aaron Rodgers' former head coach. He did win a bowl there. His first year in Dallas wasn't pleasant, but to his defense, he lost an MVP candidate only 5 weeks in.
They're playing right. Right, I mean, the defense is making big plays. They're not talented enough or deep enough in the traditional sense to do lockdown defense, and we talked about this a little bit off air. It's part of Dan Quinn's philosophy, is that you can't really do that in today's NFL anymore. So taking the gamble, making the big plays, winning the turnover battle is the way to be a good defense now, and he's putting his players in the right position. And then to your point, unselfishness, you don't see that a lot in the past with Dallas teams. You got a lot of guys worried about their numbers.
You got to go back to the years of the triplets.
And so, yeah, Zeke and Pollard splitting carries almost, damn near, really not there yet. But Pollard's a known entity to people, and his usage is going up. Good shout on Cedric Wilson for your fantasy people. He might be a sneaky pickup. I don't know if he's still hidden to many people, but if you watched Monday night and the week before, he's capable of putting up some decent plays, and Dak is looking at him and the tight ends, and those aren't guys that are getting headlines often. So
There's going to be weeks where that turnover margin might sway a little bit more towards the middle where you're kind of breaking even, but it's important for them right now to win these battles early on in the regular season. And as I already stated, with the Raiders, with the Chargers, all these games count. Out of all these teams that I'm talking about on this particular list, the only team with a losing record, which is the Chiefs, can't be worried about them because they know what it is and they've been there. Dallas is learning how to get there and be that more consistent team that you're expecting to be on the stage. Same thing with the Chargers. Raiders are in a panic kind of deal. They got to win, make the playoffs, save their coach this year. It appears that they love playing for Gruden. Keeping it centralized to your team, a lot more good than bad. And I know a lot of people going into the year weren't very high on Dallas's Dallas's defense, but they are winning the turnover battles.
We said Dallas's offense is known. The defense, if they can be middle of the pack,
Is all you really need with them.
Then we're elite. So again, it's too early for the data to back that up yet, but I don't think you're crazy for putting them all the way up at 5. Let's talk 4. Who's your 4th team on the list? So we got the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Cowboys so far.
Got to go Baltimore Ravens here. Lamar Jackson, you and I, while we praise him, we've also been critical of him in the sense that we associate him more as a great athlete before we associate him as a great quarterback. I don't think my opinion is necessarily swayed off of that. I'm going to start with what I don't like, and then I'll finish with what I do. What I don't like is that I believe that their defense is a little overrated going into this year. I mean, there's no shame in giving up points to the Kansas City Chiefs. They ended up winning that game. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They got obliterated in the secondary by the Las Vegas Raiders in week 1. And I also feel that if a couple of things go differently, the Detroit Lions win against them in this most previous week, week 3. But, they're making the plays on offense, and where I got to give credit where credit's due to Lamar is that he's carrying the load in a lot of different ways because going into the year, they lost multiple running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Line play, I like what I'm seeing on the O-line. Out of what I've seen thus far, I like what Kevin Zeitler has brought to them. He's a good veteran, solid. Mark Andrews just had his breakout game. He's been kind of gradually, slowly getting in the mix. But for those of you who drafted him, I happen to have him in one of my leagues. Still, in my opinion, top 5, top 6 tight end, and a big security blanket for what Lamar does. I just want to see Lamar just continue to make the throws and gradually get better. I still think that he relies a little too much on his athleticism, but they're winning right now. They should be 3-0. They are 2-1. And, they're a consistent playoff team.
I don't have a big problem with you putting them at 4 at all. I think that's about what they deserve at this point. I don't see their formula as sustainable, but to kind of contradict myself from what I said about Las Vegas, you got to go with their performance on the field, and I see high-end talent. Lamar Jackson is going to be Lamar Jackson. Whatever criticisms we have of his game as a quarterback don't matter. If he's getting the job done.
If you win, you win.
Right. So
he's not the first winner that has been critiqued.
Right. Especially the quarterback position and all the implications with that. It's not about that. It's about his really it's an accuracy issue, and it's been brought up repeatedly. But the bottom line is that, a win is a win, and he wins a lot. So 4 is good for me. Let's move along to 3. Who's your 3rd best team in the NFL through 3 weeks? That's why we write this shit down normally, but, here we go. Because I didn't have it written down either, brother.
I'm going to go Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was Bleacher Report did that too. I think y'all are tripping, but let's hear it.
Similar confidence and similar situation to what we've seen thus far is they're learning how to win. Kyler Murray has been given a lot of pieces on the other side of the football defensively. Chandler Jones is a perennial Pro Bowler. You've got the future Hall of Famer J.J. Watt. Um, Buda Baker still could play. They got a nice squad. They're very athletic. Marcus Golden is over there. They're very athletic on the defensive side of the ball. They're never, in my opinion, what I would envision as a traditional top 10 defense, but they make plays. They get tough inside the 20s. As far as the offense goes, I kind of like the combination of Chase Edmonds and James Conner. I think it takes a little bit off of Kyler, and he has quite the receiving corps. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins on many people's list is the best receiver in the game today. Definitely top three. A.J. Green is in a position where he doesn't have to do as much, and I think it's a good situation to keep him healthier this year. And I also like Christian Kirk. I thought it was interesting. I thought Fitz could have been a part of this team as a possession guy, and just all the time he spent there, it's kind of weird not seeing him there this year. But so far so good. I in the early going, I don't really. Well, we'll find out this week because it's going to be a nice divisional matchup. But
Big, big early season matchup.
I'm not 100% sure that they're ready to challenge the Rams. But I could be mistaken come Sunday. We'll see how that plays out.
It's one of those matchups to sort of confirm my existing bias that it's week 4 that really starts to show you the separation if there's going to be between teams. The Rams and Cardinals is a huge matchup for determining a very crowded West.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I love that. I don't like the rank, but to your point, they've looked good enough to be 3. Whether it's sustainable, that's what we watch every weekend. Who do you got at 2?
Can't believe I'm saying this. The Cleveland Browns.
The Browns. Okay, let's delve into that.
I feel that they have the formula of what it takes to be a winner in this league when the season gets the toughest, which is when the weather gets nasty, which is when injuries overtake the roster. They've already proven that they could deal with injuries. Odell Beckham just came back. Jarvis Landry was his first week not playing. It seems that they always have moving parts of guys hurt. Ultimately, what's been the heartbeat of this team the last 2 years, Baker Mayfield playing within himself, not making mistakes, and the combination of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb as the 1A, 1B running back punch. Hunt, in that case, being the pass catcher. They play stingy defense. Are they a great defensive unit? I'm not sure, but they're definitely a good one. And in that division, especially in that division, arguably the most physical, week in and week out, they got to impose their will, and I think that they're playing the right brand of football of what it's going to take to win that division. They have the one loss to KC week 1. They played them nose to nose. I think it was a good character check for the Browns, even though they lost the game. And they've responded with 2 consecutive wins after that. And they very much look the part of a team that should win that division. And while I do think Baltimore can challenge them to a level, I think the Browns are the best team in the North.
Okay, so that leaves one spot. So let's run it back real quick. At 8, we had the Kansas City Chiefs. At 7, we had the Chargers. At 6, we had the Las Vegas Raiders. At 5, the Dallas Cowboys. 4, help me out. Who was at 4? Short-term memory sucks. I know 3 was Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So 14.
I'm drawing a blank right now, unfortunately, at the moment.
We'll have to go back.
We either named a 4th one or we skipped one. We'll figure it out. It was the Baltimore Ravens.
The Ravens, awesome. Wow.
Colors, yeah, that's the colors of your Orlando jersey.
Man.
Now I'm going to keep it kind of fun here for 1. I'm doing 1A, 1B. Let's start with 1B. 1B is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they won the Super Bowl and because they finally lost a game since their historic run last year. I'm not going to divulge in why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should be considered 1B. Or 2 if you want, and we just back everybody up. But I like 1B. I think it makes it more fun. The best team in the NFL through the first 3 weeks of the season is the Los Angeles Rams. For one, they broke Tampa's winning streak dating back to last season. As I said, I don't need to talk about Tampa. We already know who they are. I'm going to leave those guys alone, and we'll talk plenty about them for our Belichick-Brady discussion coming up. The Los Angeles Rams at this moment are the best team in football. Why? A lot of reasons. In my opinion, they got the best cornerback in the league in Jalen Ramsey. In my opinion, they have the best defensive player in the NFL in Aaron Donald. Matthew Stafford is embracing the challenge of playing in a big media market with big expectations. He previously played in Detroit, and while I think he was a very underappreciated, damn good quarterback, I know other people aren't as high on him, I feel that he's embracing the challenge of playing under the microscope on a team that is expected to be in the Super Bowl conversation. They're playing hurt. They've been missing guys. Sonny Michel came up big this week. But ultimately, it's old school football, even though Linehan has the ability to open it up. I really like what I'm seeing with the defense week in and week out, changing their looks, just making life very difficult on running games and quarterbacks alike. On the offense, I think it's pretty obvious that Stafford has found his number one favorite target in Cooper Kupp. I like Robert Woods as the number 2 option, not drawing the same kind of heat as Kupp. I just like what I'm seeing in general. And it was a huge statement game because although Tampa is the defending champions, the Rams didn't have the chance to play Tampa last year in the playoffs. Green Bay knocked them out. That was a big statement, beating them on the national stage 2 years in a row now. And I have a feeling that might be another game down the road that could decide who's going to the bowl. 2 teams I didn't mention, I'm going to call it outside looking in. And some people might disagree, and that's okay.
We want you to. Let us know.
The Green Bay Packers, outside looking in, I'm going to tell you why. I feel
shit show in week 1.
Well, after that week 1 still stands out like, wow, that was a beatdown. So when I say outside looking in, I would say, okay, give Green Bay about 9 or 10. The Tennessee Titans.
Same story, right?
Same story. I love Derrick Henry. I don't think Tannehill has fully taken advantage of what he has around him. I think that's still a work in progress, but the biggest problem I got with this team is their defense. I don't trust them. I do not trust that team. And believe it or not, outside looking in, I'm going to give you 2. I got to give Denver some form of respect for being undefeated, even though I said they probably played the 3 worst teams in professional football.
You don't have to.
They're still undefeated.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I'm kind of surprised I'm even going to say this, the New Orleans Saints, outside looking in. They're 2-1. They beat the crap out of Green Bay. They won pretty soundly against the New England Patriots. But in between, they had a bad loss. So I'm not quite sure where I put the Saints yet, and I'm not quite sure if I trust Jameis Winston. All I can really say is Jameis is a very inconsistent cat until he proves that he's not. So, Jameis, what do you say, buddy? Maybe we can get some inconsistency this week. My guys are dying for a win, and that's why they're nowhere near to be mentioned on this show. We're talking about the top 8 and outside
and
looking in.
Apparently. But you're going to get some angry hate from the other part of your state there, pal. Buffalo Bill fans.
And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. I'll mention something quickly on them. Josh Allen had a huge week against the Washington football team. Am I going to overreact and say, oh, my God, they've arrived? I don't know. Daniel Jones had a huge week against them the previous week. They have a bad loss at home to Pittsburgh. I already told you what I feel about Pittsburgh. They beat Miami with an injured Tua. That was impressive if you like defense. And this past week, they beat a team that they're supposed to beat. I went into the season mentioning that I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going to be as good as they were last year. I stand by it as of right now. I'm sticking to it's only week 3, but I'm sticking to Chiefs and Browns in the title game. A lot of football left to be played. No knock on Buffalo. I mean, I drafted Josh Allen in pretty much every single league I'm in. But I just don't think they're completely clicking yet. that could, of course, change in a few weeks, and we'll be revisiting this, of course.
So, listeners, if you've made it this far, just to clarify it one more time, going into week 4, we got at 8, the Kansas City Chiefs 7, Los Angeles Chargers. The 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. 5, the Dallas Cowboys. 4, the Baltimore Ravens. 3, Arizona Cardinals. 2,
The Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
And
1
we got
B.
1B, the Tampa Bay Bucks, because they're the world champions. I don't even want to talk about them. I just naturally include them.
Okay.
I just naturally include them.
Most importantly, at the top, you're calling the Rams, which I think
is well deserved.
You've been saying for a while. So thank you so much for listening to us. If you made it this far, lots to look forward to this week. We got our fan focus on the New England Patriots with Brett Bandick, our good buddy, and Rich. That's a nice about 30-minute interview for you to listen to tomorrow morning. Friday, we're doing our show with Mr. Patrick himself. And lots of great football to watch. So thank you for listening. Until then.
Lastly, I'll be back in a couple of hours. I didn't want to sprinkle this cancer into this episode, but as a very angry fan of the New York Football Giants, I am going to go over all the ills of what's been going down. So look for that on Instagram a little bit later. Going to be going rogue and talking about my boys, and I'm going to challenge Jordan to join me later, talk about his, because we are in the same damn boat right now.